What's on, guys? Just here, Bad Matt Challenge, and I'll be in review for Friday Night Smackdown. So let's get to it then. I know it's gonna be a late video because was watching a WWE documentary with about American stuff. So yeah, we have a little promo segment and all that. With Drake Cargo and Mitchin and B-Fab and Rhea Ripley and Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. So yeah, Elizabeth, I mean, how you say, Jay Cargo comes out and stuff, and it says about the fans like, yeah, and I'm better than all you and better than everybody in the back. Then Ripley comes out and stuff and tells everyone you're, nothing, and stuff, and all that. Then Elizabeth and Charlotte Flair comes out and says, Charlotte Flair says, you're here 5 minutes and all that stuff, and then Nick Aldis comes out and issues a match between the two, which is Alexa Bliss and Jay Cargo. So yeah. All right, so the first match comes up, Jay Cargo versus Alexa Bliss. We come back from commercial break and the match begins. Bliss punches Cargo and gets on her back. Cargo tosses Bliss aside and she rolls out of the ring. Cargo goes out to get Bliss and Bliss gets back in the ring and Cargo follows Bliss, strikes Cargo on the apron and Cargo gets in the ring and tosses Bliss into the corner. Cargo misses some strikes and gets guillotined on the ropes. Bliss comes out the top rope and Cargo catches her and slams her to the mat. Cargo stomps on Bliss and Bliss fights back with kicks. Bliss gets on the top rope and Cargo punches her and then grabs Bliss and then military presses Bliss and drops her to the mat. Bliss knocks Cargo over the ropes and then goes for a head scissors, but Cargo catches Bliss and prom bombs her onto the barricade, and we then cut commercial break. Then we're back from commercial break. Um, Cargo has Bliss grounded in a headlock, and Flair tries to get to the crowd. Tries to get the crowd to pump up Bliss. Bliss punches out of the hold and gets swung into the turnbuckles, while Cargo does push-ups to taunt Bliss. Bliss elbows Cargo but walks into a back forearm. Bliss rolls out of the ring, and Cargo comes out and strikes Bliss. Bliss is slammed onto the ring apron. Bliss fights back and drop kicks Cargo into the barricades. Cargo charges at Bliss, and Bliss moves, and Cargo slams into steel steps. Bliss gets back into the ring, and Cargo gets in at her, and after Bliss unleashes some punches, kicks, and drop kick. Bliss hits a double knee on Cargo on the apron ropes, then follows with a flipping senton. Bliss hits natural selection and covers Cargo for a 2 count. Bliss goes for Sister Abigail, but Cargo reverses B-Fab. Mission gets involved, gets taken out by Flair and Ripley. The four fight to the back and head in the ring. Bliss hits a basement DT, and Bliss then climbs the ropes. Bliss goes for a twisted Bliss, but Cargo gets her knees up. Cargo hits a pump-up kick and then hits Jaded and gets the win. So winner is Jay Cargo. And I knew my camera was messing up. Then after the match, Cargo gets a steel chair from the under the ring and places the chair in the middle of the ring. Cargo hits Jaded on Bliss, and Bliss lands on the chair in the ring. Flair and Ripley run back to the ring, and Cargo leaves before they can get to her. Then we see Captain Kelly talks to Cody Rhodes and all that stuff, and then Sami Zayn got to Gunther and Sami Zayn, the attack happened and all that stuff. And then all this talks to Dan Housen about what was going on and all that stuff, and then The Miz comes out and stuff, and then we see in the background Dan Housen is getting his stuff, equipment for like experiment and stuff. So yeah, it was funny. Alright, we see second match, The Miz versus Axiom with Nathan Frazier. We get the bell, the two lock up. The Miz gets Axiom on the mat, and Axiom flips around and gets The Miz on the mat. The Miz gets Axiom in a headlock, and Axiom flips out of the hold, and the lights quickly go off and on. Axiom takes down The Miz, and The Miz breaks free and does a cartwheel. Axiom knocks The Miz into the corner, and The Miz runs into a drop kick. Axiom kicks The Miz out of the ring, and The Miz gives up and starts walking to the back. Frazier stops The Miz, and Axiom comes out and gets The Miz back in the ring. The Miz kicks Axiom and gets in the ring, and then we cut a commercial break. Back to Smackdown. The Miz and Axiom trade punches in the middle of the ring. Axiom just strikes The Miz a few times, and both men take each other down. Axiom gets to his feet first and strikes The Miz. Axiom hits a suplex and covers The Miz for a near fall. Axiom climbs the ropes, and The Miz gets him off and tries for the skull-crushing finale, but Axiom reverses the Miz reverses and DDTs Axiom and covers him for a near fall. The Miz kicks Axiom with the kick with it and kicks Axiom, and Axiom knocks the Miz to the mat. Axiom stomps on the Miz's hands, and Axiom kicks the Miz several times. Axiom hits a top rope crossbody and almost gets the pin. Axiom goes for golden ration, and the Miz is able to counter. The Miz collides with Axiom in the corner and comes off the top rope, and Axiom catches the Miz and locks him in a submission hold. The Miz tries for a roll-up. Axiom kicks out. The Miz powerbombs Axiom, then climbs the ropes. The lights flicker off and on again, and Axiom meets the Miz on the top rope as a Spanish Fly. Then a golden ratio gets the win. So winner is Axiom. The Dame Priest and Archer are backstage talking about what was going on and stuff, and then what's his name? Royce Keys comes out too and stuff to about, hey, you scared and stuff, blah blah. They said no, and then Archer walks away, and Dame Priest trying to catch up to him. Then we see Kaz LeRae talks to Sami Zayn backstage and stuff, and then see Jargo again lays on the steps as always, and yeah, talk about what was going on and stuff, not liking what's going on. But yeah, then we see Charfair seeing Alexa Bliss backstage with eyes on her head. I said in the medical, also then Bria Ripley comes out and says we gotta do something. So then Ripley doesn't handle Jade Cargill, she will, which is Charlotte Flair. Alright, so next match coming out, Damian Priest and Royce Keys versus MBT's Tama Tonga and Tala Tonga with Solo Sikoa. Priest and Tala start the bout. Priest is being into the ropes, but he comes back with a chop on Tala. Tala knocks Priest to the ground and then punches Priest into the corner. Tama is tagged in and he strikes Priest and headbutts him. Priest chops Tama and Keys wants a tag, but Priest ignores him. Keys tags himself in and Tama punches him and tries to overpower him but cannot. Keys slams Tama down and collides into him in the corner. Keys gets a boot and Tama runs at Keys, and Keys power slams Tama to the mat. Keys runs into Tama, sending him out the ring. Priest and Tala get in the ring, and Tala gets double team, and they knock him over the top rope. And then we cut a commercial break. We're back. Tala and Keys go at it in the ring. Tala tosses Keys the mat, then tags in Tama flies over the ropes and it's sent on Keys and Tama exchanges strikes and kicks. Tala is tagged in and he gets Keys on the mat and puts him in reverse chin lock. Keys powers out of the hole and punches Tala a few times, but then gets punched in the corner. Tama is tagged in and covers Keys on the back of his neck. Keys hits a jumping choke bomb and attacks Priest. Priest beats up Tama, and Tala comes in, and Priest attacks Tala. Priest beats up both Tonga and slams into them in a separate corners. Tala is tossed out of the ring. Tama attacks Priest, hits a flatliner, and climbs the ropes. Priest comes off the top rope and hits a flying clotheslines and covers Tama, but Tala breaks it up. Keys knocks Tala out of the ring. Sikoa hits Priest while the ref is distracted. R-Truth comes out and attacks Sikoa. Keys stops Sikoa. Tama takes out Keys outside the ring, and in the ring, Tala chokeslams Priest and gets the win. So winners are MFTs. The Miz yells at Nick Aldis backstage until threatens to sue Aldis about the lights going off and on. Then I say Nick Aldis sees both of them. So then Miz tries to get Danhausen, and then Danhausen hits him with a fire extinguisher and stuff. And then Nick Aldis was trying to look at what was under the thing, and then he said, "Don't you dare touch that" and stuff. And then Danhausen says, "I got my eyes on you." Then after that, we see Chelsea Green talks backstage to Timmy Stratton, of course, and then talking about what's going to match later tonight and stuff. So yeah. And then fourth match coming up is Matt Cardona versus Sami Zayn. Alright, Cardona and Zayn lock. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that they want to match with each other. So yeah. So the fourth match is Matt Cardona versus Sami Zayn. Cardona and Zayn lock up at the bell, and Zayn immediately gets Cardona and a wrist lock. Cardona reverses, Zayn rolls out of the hole. They lock up again, and Zayn gets Cardona on the mat with a snap mirror. Zayn covers Cardona and a couple times, and Cardona tosses Zayn out of the ring. Cardona knock kicks Zayn through the middle rope, and Cardona then sends Zayn back in the ring. Cardona suplex off the apron into the ring, and Zayn covers Cardona twice for two near fall. Zayn chops Cardona in the corner. Cardona reverses and punches Zayn. Cardona hits a middle rope missile dropkick, and then we get a commercial break. The match continues, and Zayn tries for a pin, but Cardona kicks out. Zayn locks Cardona in a headlock, and Cardona counters out and clotheslines Zayn and takes him down with a face buster. Cardona runs into Zayn in the corner, then hits a Broski boot. Cardona hits a double underhook powerbomb on Zayn after they both counter boots. Cardona covers Zayn and Zayn kicks out at 2. Cardona counters a suplex and hits a net breaker. Cardona runs at Zayn, but Zayn catches him and powerbombs Cardona. Cardona hits a Rough Rider and covers Zayn, who gets his boot on the ropes. Cardona sits Zayn on the top rope and climbs up with him. Zayn punches Cardona, and Cardona punches his back, and Cardona is knocked off the ropes. Zayn comes off the top rope, and Cardona moves out of the way, and Zayn hits an exploder into the corner. Zayn hits a luva kick and gets the win. So winner is Sami Zayn. Then we see Lil Lottie knocking out Trick Williams' door. So then knockouts sees backstage and all that stuff. He's going through backstage, and then we have a promo segment with Trick Williams and stuff, talking about Glazes and all that. See Trick Williams and stuff. And with Lil Lottie and Glazes and all that stuff. He's Barcelona, and then talking about taking out the Miz, all that. Carmelo Hayes says there are no superstars, and all that stuff. And Triple H said, "What? Hold on, all that stuff." But then they want a match with Carmelo Hayes. Ricky Saints come out and says, "Whoa, like this is something straight here and all that stuff." Then the fifth match coming up is Carmelo Hayes versus Ricky Saints. All right, so Saints punches Hayes in the corner as we come back from commercial break. Hayes hits Saints with a drop kick and kicks Saints in the neck. Hayes hits a springboard leg drop and Saints runs at Hayes with a lariat. Saints punches Hayes in the corner and chops him. Hayes is choked in the corner. Hayes kicks Saints and slams him into the corner. And Saint is clocked in the corner, and Hayes then stomps on him. Saint knocks Hayes over the top rope and then goes out and slams Hayes into the barricades outside the ring. Saint gets back in the ring and does his taunt. Then we go commercial break after that. Alright, back to the match. Saints has Hayes on the top rope. Saints gets punched off Hayes for a frog splash, but Saints gets his knees up and slams down Hayes. Hayes is covered and he kicks out at 2. Hayes rolls up Saints, who kicks out at 2. Hayes hits a middle row DT on Saints, and both men are laid out. The two trade punches in the center of the ring. Hayes and then hits a springboard forearm, and then hits his Dirty Diana, covers Saints for a near fall. Saints hits twisting cutter covers Hayes, who kicks out at 2. Saints is sent out over the top rope. Hayes flies over the top rope. Saints outside the ring. Saints sends Hayes over the barricade, and Hayes runs back and comes off the barricade and hits a flying clothesline, and both men are counted out. So double count out. Double count out. After the match, Saints attacks Hayes, but Hayes fires back with a kick and force 48, sending Saints out of the ring. Then after that, we see Nia Jax. Approach and Lashley approach Timothy Stratton backstage. There's some smart for not coming out with green today and stuff, all that. So, and then after that, we get a promo for Blake Monroe that she's now on the Smackdown roster, and then she calls out Rhea Ripley. Alright, so sixth match is Nia Jax with Lashley Legend versus Chelsea Green. The bell rings and Jax tosses Green across the ring. Jax slams into Green in the corner and then tosses her to the mat. Green strikes Jax and then sends Jax out of the ring. Green flies through the ropes and takes out Jax. Then commercial break. Alright, back to the match. Jax slaps Green around a bit and slams her to the mat with a pop-up headbutt. Green is covered and kicks out at 2. Jax looks Green in a chin headlock. Green counters with a stunner. Green goes for a Rough Rider, but Jax catches her and hits a powerbomb on Green and covers her for a near fall. Green attacks Jax, but Jax stops her in her tracks. Green hits a zigzag and covers Jax for a near fall. Jax goes shoulder first into the turnbuckle, and Green hits a top rope missile dropkick on Jax. Green hits a Rough Rider, and Jax kicks out at 2. Legend tries to get involved, and Green kicks Legend. Jax hits a Samoan drop, and Tiffany Stratton's music hits. Then Stratton comes off from the crowd, and it's Jax with her U.S. title, and Green gets the pin. So winner is Chelsea Green. After the match, an elated Green goes to celebrate with Stratton, who leaves before Green can get to her. And then we have see Brie Bella and Paige backstage. They'll talk about what's next to come for their tag team belts and all stuff. They have come back commercial break with a segment promo main event as Cody Rhodes versus Gunther face to face. We come back for commercial break, and Cody makes his way out to the ring before Rhodes can get started. Gunther makes his way out to the ring as well. Gunther says he's out here to tell Rhodes what he thinks about him and not engage with the crowd. Gunther says he's realized Rhodes tries to make each show about him. He says it's fitting Rhodes as the American Nightmare because he represents a collapsing American dream. Gunther talks about how he was told he had to move from his homeland and work hard and try from scratch in the U.S. He says Rhodes had everything handed to him because of his family name. He tells Rhodes he and a title brat and says while he and Rhodes are wrestlers, they're nothing alike. Rhodes wants the approval of the fans and wants to be adored. Gunther wants to be the best professional wrestler and doesn't care if the people like him or not. Gunther says Rhodes' biggest fan is Rhodes and that Rhodes is a mark for himself. Rhodes says Gunther is a liar. Rhodes says Gunther wants the attention and the appearances and all that stuff comes from being a champion, and asks Gunther how he can't want to be adored. Rhodes says he knows Gunther wants it because they're not doing this in an indie show, and instead he stands in front of someone who has trained to be the champion. Rhodes says being the champion is addictive, and Gunther is addictive. Rhodes says Gunther will be super close to winning and he'll find out that he's just not that good. Rhodes finishes with his easy to find, hard to beat catchphrase and goes to leave. Gunther stops him and tells Rhodes he is a liar. Gunther says he promised Bill Goldberg, AJ Styles, and John Cena that he will retire them, and he did, and he promises Rhodes will choke him out on Sunday and walk out as champion. Gunther drops the mic and then leaves, and that's how the show ends and stuff. So yeah, it was a good show earlier tonight and stuff. I mean, it was okay. There were some good matches and stuff, but not as always. But anyways, that was it for this video. Hope you like it, not whatever stuff. So, and I'm sorry my camera kits I'm messing up a lot and stuff. And yeah, and there was I kind of paused during the Carmelo Hayes on segment promo here because I had to move my camera and stuff real quick, all that stuff. But anyways, that was this first video. Hope you like it, not whatever stuff. So like, subscribe, and the bell button, leave a comment. You guys want to leave a comment stuff and encourage you guys. And that was it. And I'll see you guys Monday afternoon for Monday Night Raw. All right, laters.